talking about nice feelings, I remember growing up on Walt Disney films. Anyone else remember all the Walt Disney lyrics? All right. Anyone in this room fall in love with a Walt Disney character? Don't be afraid, guys. Don't be afraid. All right. Is anybody still in love with a Walt Disney character? Yes. I know how you're feeling. I understand. Sometimes the dream never leaves the soul. It's still there. You and me, Belle. Ariel. Right, so my point. Can anyone still remember the lyrics? I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. I want it more than I can tell. I can see it's only she who is beautiful as me, but she's really such a funny, funny girl. Yes, Beauty and the Beast. Or Ariel when she's looking at all those things and she's in that little cave underwater and she says, look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm a girl who has everything? I've got gadgets and gizmos of plenty, and who's it's and what's it's galore. One thing and a bob's, I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them again? Oh, that's right. Streets. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, walking around on those. What do you call them again? That's right. Oh. Feet. Feet. All right, so anyway, random. But isn't it interesting that I watched those films as a kid and I looked at those characters and one, I wanted to be like the guys because they were heroes and they always got in fights. And they won, unlike me, as you have heard, have lost all the fights that I've been in. But I have won some wrestles. And if anyone wants to take me on a wrestle, you will be sorry. And all your friends. I'm not intimidated by you. I've been searching for you my whole life. Every moment of every minute of every day, I've been training for this moment now. All right, so anyway, I wanted to be like the guys, I wanted to be the hero, and I wanted to win the girl. And I remember the scene, you know, kiss the girl, shoo-wah-wah, and the frogs are singing and everything, and Eric wants to kiss the girl, and I remember, I wonder when I'll get a kiss. That would be amazing. I don't think any girl will want to kiss me though. I feel like I'm the frog. And that for me was like this feeling of longing and disappointment at the same time. And you know, it's just so funny that since I was a little kid, I longed for love. And I longed to feel romance or whatever. And then I know that you girls out there are longing for romance. Don't try and tell me that you're not. You're made for destiny. I know you. I see it in your eyes. Guys, I know that in your own way, you have this soft spot in your heart, and that soft spot in your heart wants to love. And underneath all the jokes and all the hardcoreness of being hardcore like every man should be, you love. And you want to love, and you want to find somebody that will love you, and these things, right? I feel that. And all jokes aside, what I have come to know is that love from a girl is not the only place that I want to find love in. I don't know, has any of you ever come to that point where you realize that that wasn't everything? Like there was more than that. And some of you guys are going to try and make a joke out of that. Be like, well, what are you saying, Mr. Otto? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to say that we long for things that are not just all around us. We long not just to find somebody that will love us, like, and think that we have a cool haircut and nice nice clothes or whatever level of love, or that they love our heart or something like that. I mean, where was the first place that we ever felt love? What about you? Can you think back to when you received love for the first time? And all of you have in some way, and I know that. And all of you have received hate and felt pain as well, and I know that. But when was the first time you felt love?
When you were born, you were hugged by your parents for the first time.
Yeah? Is it true? Was that love? Yeah?
What'd you say?
When you were born and when you were hugged by your parents for the first time, or maybe by your mother, if by chance your father wasn't there, or maybe by a relative, an aunt or an uncle, if your mother or father weren't there, or a guardian. Somebody has hugged you and fed you, and that's the way you're here and you're still alive, right? So you received love. And there was an experiment that was done by a German king back in, I think, the 13th century. It was King Frederick, and he did an experiment. It was a very evil experiment. And he wanted to see if babies could speak German without being listened to German. Okay, this was just a strange idea that he had. So he thought, if I can take away all the influences from these children and so they never hear any language ever be spoken, will they just naturally speak German? Maybe they will. Maybe they don't have to be taught. Maybe it's the language of the soul. And he was trying to work that out. So he said to the nurses, you can't talk to the babies. Okay. And then the next thing he says, you can't touch them, because if you touch them, then maybe you'll want to talk to them. So he made them handle them with like tongs and things. So it didn't hurt them, but they didn't receive a physical human touch. Do you want to know what happened to all of those babies? They all died. They all were fed. They all were had all the water. They had food. None of them received any form of love, and they all died. And it's incredibly sad that that happened to those children. It's incredibly sad that it still happens today, that there are some people in this world, and there are some of us that have not received the love that we've needed. And we may have clothes on us, we may have food in our bellies, and we may have drank some water this morning, and so we have the physical things, but we lack something, and we haven't felt certain love that we have been longing to feel. I remember I have a close friend. His name is Nathan, and he would be happy for me to share this story. He's going to be one of the groomsmen at my wedding in 2 months, right? Yeah, so that's exciting for me. My brother's saying you because he's going to be my best man, so that's cool. But this friend of mine, and he says it again, my close friend Nathan, he told me a story, it was a couple of years ago, and he said to me, my dad never told me about this. My mum just told me recently over the last few weeks or something. And he said, when I was 5 years old, my dad said, it was the day I turned 5, and my dad said to me that he would come and pick me up and take me out for my birthday. And so he said, naturally, I got so excited, and his eyes lit up, and he got excited, and he got dressed early that morning and was bouncing, on the floor or whatever, what kids do, and they're running around, and he got up early with this hope and expectation, and he sat out the front of his house to wait for his dad, because his dad's going to come and pick him up, and they're going to go out for a really fun day, and he's going to take him out somewhere and show him that he cares and give him a gift and show him that he's so special to him and that you're my son and I'm proud of you, and that's what's going to happen. The kid is so excited, he's looking forward to it, eager, eyes lit up, and you can see, has anyone ever seen a glimmer in someone's eyes? Have you seen a glimmer in a child's eye? And they just hope, and they hope more than anyone ever can, because they, haven't seen some of the pain yet, or maybe they have, but they've got high spirits. They still hope. This child is still hoping, and he sits out the front of his house waiting for his dad, and he looks at his watch and it just hits 9 o'clock, and that was the time that he's supposed to get picked up. And so he's just waiting, and he's like, any second now, this car's just going to come and pull in. I'm going to jump in. This is going to be the best day of my life so far. And 9:01, it's just 1 minute late. That's nothing. 9:05, okay, 5 minutes late. 9:30, 10 o'clock. He'll still come. I'm sure he'll come. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. The boy sits there until the sun starts to set, still waiting, still hoping. And nothing happened, nothing changed. And his mother told him the story, crying, and he broke down and cried, and he realized that that little event, which is nothing, I mean, it's nothing because nobody physically hurt him, nobody hit him, nobody swore at him, just somebody didn't show up, and it was an important day, but it was something to him. And it's these events that we all carry with us through our lives, and you carry something that happened to you, something that really hurts you, and you still carry it. And it's sitting in there, and it's a scar, it's a pain. For some of you, it's a scar which is a wound that is healed. For some of you, it's an open wound still. It hasn't been touched. And for some of you, it is anger towards your parents. For some of you, it's anger towards your father. For some of you, it's anger towards God, because we maybe have this pain that we don't have an answer for. And we're like, why did this happen to me? How is this fair? And I want to explain to you perhaps why these things matter so much. For example, if, we're just two different, you're many different and I'm one. We are all individual people, and we have friendships, and for some reason, like, for example, if one of you said to me, Mr. Otto or Jono, you're a loser and your talks suck, I would say, well, you could have said that a nicer way, like they weren't that good, or you're not that cool. But you said it a meaner way, but it's not the end of the world. Why is it that that would kind of just roll off my back like water off a duck's back, but then if my dad said to me, that was pathetic and you're a loser, why would that make a difference?
Because you respect your father.
Interesting, yeah, because I respect him. Anything else? Sorry?
Because he's close to you.
Okay. Yeah. He's close. Yeah. Anything else that comes to mind? Yeah.
Because it comes from somebody you actually love.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. He's your dad. Interesting. I love all these answers, and they're all really good. And I'm sure that for some of these answers, they're different for all of us. There's a certain reason why that means so much. And I want to tell you what is interesting is that you wouldn't exist if it wasn't for two people that came together one night. Awkward. Mom, Dad, can you stop the story now? This is disgusting. Is that how I was born? With this madness? Right, so few of us think back that was the beginning of how we came into existence. And it's kind of different to when you hear Kesha singing, "Oh, what a shame that you came here with someone. So now that you're here in my arms, let's live tonight like we're gonna die young," something, right? So that's part of my point that I'm making when I'm talking about songs that talk about doing things outside marriage and treating sex like it's nothing, like a sport or a game, when it so happens that we all came about because of that experience, and we have hearts and we're full of hopes, dreams, and desires for things that we need. And sometimes people get together and they have no sense of responsibility, and so then we wonder why we grow up with this sense of neglect and pain. And all of us that has felt any sign of that in our own lives should make a vow never to do that, never to live that kind of life and bring a child into that experience, because all of our choices and the choices that you make now in your mind are the things that create those realities for yourself. And none of you, I know, want to be responsible for bringing pain into a child's life, but we can easily do it by filling our minds and our thoughts and our actions with things that will just bring somebody else into a life of pain. Why would we do it? So I'm getting married, right? So I can bring up a child in, a situation of love. So I want to say to you that these experiences, they mean a lot to us. That those two people that came together they become these people called our parents. Our life comes from them, through them. Right? Is that true? The father, actually, if you look at it from a science point, is the one that starts it. It comes from him, and then so our minds seem to trace back where we came from our mother, and then finally from our father. And so is it interesting that psychology now basically says children get their identities from their fathers, and says the way that we feel about ourselves comes from our fathers. The way that our parents feel towards each other indicates the identity that we have. And for some of us, that's a very painful point because they don't love each other. So if they don't love each other, then how can I feel loved? And this is why I'm here to talk to you about where this whole thing came from. Our parents came from somewhere. There is some kind of life that we have never been able to explain. Do you know that scientists can't even explain exactly where your life comes from? Do you know that doctors have never pinpointed what it is that triggers the heartbeat? Did you know that? They don't know what it is. They've admitted there's no theory for it. They don't know what it is that triggers your heartbeat. Did you know that? It's the very thing that's keeping you alive right now. And that very thing, no human has ever been able to explain it. Why do you think no human can explain where it comes from?
Is that because it's the love from your parents? Because you're alive?
Oh yeah, well then there's love. That's interesting, and that could be part of it. Anyone that may agree with me that the reason why we can't explain it because it is supernatural. It's not based on things that we can touch and feel here and now, things that we can see here and now. It's based on something supernatural outside of ourselves. And I believe that it is God that gives that heartbeat. That's my explanation. And I feel totally confident with my answer. I know, of course, in my heart, that is the reason why you have that heartbeat. And so now that God who is your creator, he is the one that gives you that heartbeat. And so that makes a difference as to the way you value your life. Back when I was 7, I remember I even said this with my own lips. I said, I don't even know what the point is in living. I can't see the reason for life. I said that when I was that young. That's kind of weird, right? I was like, you're some weird kid. I was thinking a lot about where I came from, and I needed to find an answer for that. So we're at this point. Where does my life come from? Does my life come from God? And if it does, then why do I get life from God? Why do I get life from God? Well, the reason could be that we're robots. Has anyone ever seen a movie like that before? Yes? And that there is some creator and he has made robots. Why did he make the robots? What reason would you make robots for? If you were to make robots, why would you make them? To destroy? To terminate everyone. Well, I'm glad that he didn't make robots right now, because what would happen to all of us? I don't know. If I was to make robots, I'd make them do things. I'd make them work, and I'd make them make me money. It's not bad to make money. I would make robots that would help me to just build a kingdom and to build a house, and I would use them. I wouldn't give them love. They're just robots. But there are many people that believe that there is a God, that he just made us kind of like robots. But there are other people that believe that the original love that we were supposed to receive from our parents was a picture of what God is for us, and that he made us in his image, and that just in the same way that he loves us, he put it in it when he created us. He created us in ways that we would understand how he loves us. And so I can say to you that you're loved just who you are, not because of what you do. I could say that to you. It's not because you're the fastest. It's not because you're the coolest. It's not because you're the most beautiful girl in the school and you won the beauty pageant that you're loved and special. It's just because you exist. I could say that to you, but those words don't mean as much as being born as a baby and knowing what it's like to receive love when you didn't do anything to deserve it. Do you see it? You were born and there was nothing you did to receive it. There was nothing that you did. Anyone here was the fastest baby? 1 day old, you could run, you know? Anyone? No? Anyone could do a mathematical equation when you were 6 weeks old? Yeah? Anyone here recite the dictionary when you were 5 months old? Right? Did you know, but did you receive love? Did you know what it was like to be special and to be loved? Did you know that? I'm sure that you did, because babies' hearts are open, and you had an open heart at some point, and you were loved not because of anything that you did, and that is the sweetest place you can ever live from. And I'm going to come to a close if I could just take you to this this point, and that is that this God who is the creator of the world has a son, and he sent the son into the world so he could help us to understand who he is. Because all of us, many of us are still in confusion. Well, like, where does my life come from? I don't know what I believe. I don't even know if I believe. And we're all asking these questions. So would it make sense for that God who created us to come into the world to talk with us, to show us that he loves us and that he didn't create us for any purpose of pain or manipulation, but just because we were like children to him, just so he could love us and we could love him back? And it's just very interesting that anyone, if you just look in the history of what happened to Jesus, can you tell me what happened to him? Yeah, he got crucified and killed. And what happened before he got crucified? Like, what kinds of things did people do to him? Yeah. Yep. Pain. All these things were inflicted upon this man, Jesus. Why? What did he do wrong? What did this man, Jesus, do wrong? Nothing? Can anyone recall that there was some crime that he did, something that he did against someone or something?
Well, the people said they called himself God.
Yep. So that was what he did. He said that he was God. He said that he was the creator of the world. He said that that's who he was. Yet he did nothing wrong. And it was interesting that one of the Roman guards that crucified him, when he was up on the cross, he actually looked up at him and he said, surely this man was the Son of God. And after he had just died. Could you imagine what it would have felt like to be that person? To have a job, like you have a job, you know, you might be in the police force, you might be a teacher, but his job was to crucify people. Could you imagine? That would be a depressing job, right? A depressing job. And he's crucified this man, and he looks at him and he realizes who it is. And he says, surely this man is the Son of God. And even Pilate, who was the governor, he said, this man, I see no fault in him. He has done nothing wrong. And what that was saying was that this man, he was actually delivered because he was too loving. He healed too many people. There were people that were, doing things that were wrong. There were people that were prostitutes that were brought to him, and they would say to him, will you stone this woman? And they were trying to trap him, so they would either be able to kill him or her. And then he said, he that has not sinned before, let him throw the first stone at her. So he was the one that would defend people that were brought to him. He would defend people that had done the wrong thing. He would forgive sins. And it was the same man that they were set to crucify. And they took him on the same day that they were to kill the lamb. One day of every year was called the day of the Passover lamb. And he was actually killed on the day that the Passover lamb was to be killed, the exact day. And he quoted from the Psalm where he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? And in that Psalm, when you read back in Psalm chapter 22, it was written 1,000 years before Jesus came. Do you know what that Psalm says? It says, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. That's in Hebrew. And it means, my God, why have you forsaken me? And then it goes on, it says, my God, why are you so far from helping me from the words of my roaring? 1,000 years before Jesus came. And he says, all they that see me, they laugh me to scorn, and they shoot words out of their lips, and they shake their heads saying, he trusted in the Lord that God would deliver him. Let God deliver him, seeing that he thinks he delights in him. And then he says, but these dogs have surrounded me. The assembly, the people of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. Psalm chapter 22, written 1,000 years before Jesus came, and he quotes the first sentence of it when he's on the cross. And what happened? Pierced in the hands and the feet. It's a promise. It's a prophecy that was written 1,000 years before Jesus came. Did you know that existed? There are so many people like me that believe that that's a proof that he is not just any man, that this man was a son of God. He fulfilled the prophecy, the thing that was written out. And all of this, when I started to study and to learn about these things, I read it, and I was 19 years old at the time, and I didn't really fully believe in God in a sense. And I read that, and my heart actually started racing. And I don't know why, of all the years, that this suddenly started to make sense to me. And I looked at this, and going back to my desire to have romance and to be loved and things like that, it was the weirdest thing for me, right? Because I thought that if I could just find a beautiful girl, right, a hot girl or, a loving woman, that I would be so happy and I would feel love finally. But you know what was the weirdest thing? It was when I was reading and discovering about this event that happened and Jesus and his love and him dying on the cross, I actually started to feel love in my heart for the first time. And I realized that I was looking in the wrong place to find love because the people around me would forget me. I would have maybe a girl like me or like a girl, but it would wear off, and then I would be there with that empty feeling. But I've never known anyone that's died for me. I've never known someone that's died for me. And it changed my life, and it changed the way I saw the world. It changed my heart, and that's why I wanted to tell you about it today. And I encourage you to think about that, where you're finding your love and whatever has gone wrong in your life and all the pain. And I'm not going to try and say that I understand, and I'm not going to try and say that any of it's okay or acceptable or that any of those things that happen to you are fine. They're not. You were never supposed to be hurt. You were never supposed to not feel love. You were never supposed to be neglected or inflicted pain upon. And I know that there's broken families here, and I know that there's things that are so far beyond anything I can say with my words. And please forgive me if I'm ever insensitive, because I never want to be, because I know that those things are bigger than me. But I want to tell you that if I was to give you my heart and tell you what I really believe, is that if you look to Jesus and if you see him suffering in your place, and that there is somebody that has loved you, there is somebody that has loved you. There's somebody that thought you mattered enough that he would suffer for you. That he would not forget about your birthday when you're 5 years old. That he loved you so much that he was willing to suffer and give his own life and die an agonizing, painful death. And that was enough for him. And it was counted an honor for him to do that because he loves you. That's my appeal to you. And I pray that you don't neglect that love. That you don't neglect that love, because that, I believe, is your one chance to ever experience love in this world and in this life. That is your one chance. And I hope that each one of you accept that love and receive it, because it's a gift that's freely given to you. Let's pray. Loving Father, I just want to thank you so much. Special, special people here. You love me, you love us so much. We are searching for love. We are wanting to know that we're special, and we go to so many places. Lord, we've been so hurt, and I can't even begin to express with words what that means and how it makes sense, because it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't, and I can't find answers for everything that has happened to me. I can't find answers for everything that has happened to these precious young people here. But I do know that for some reason, if each one of these, my young friends here, were to accept your son Jesus and to see him suffer and to receive him into the heart, that somehow the pain would heal. And that you've promised that you will return again, and there will be a world where there's no more pain, and you will take us there if we accept you and follow you. And you so want to do this for us, and you so love us, and you accept your children. You're proud of us, you love us, and we thank you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.